Good evening. The Prime Minister has always denied any rules were broken at Downing Street and that he was assured there were no parties held there during lockdown. But the Met Police have found otherwise and today fined the Prime Minister over parties held at Number 10, making him only the sitting Prime Minister in history found to have broken the law. His wife and his Chancellor were also fined. Today, there has been anger from the bereaved, London MPs and the Prime Minister's own constituents in Uxbridge. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the story and the reaction.
The Prime Minister and his Chancellor may have appeared out of step in recent weeks, but today found themselves in the same uncomfortable boat. Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak are both facing fines for breaking COVID laws in Downing Street. In a statement, Number 10 said the Prime Minister and Chancellor of the Exchequer have today received notification that the Metropolitan Police intend to issue them with fixed penalty notices. June the 19th, 2020, and pupils at a primary school in Hemel Hempstead wished the Prime Minister a happy birthday. But the celebrations didn't end there. Later, in the privacy of the Cabinet Room in Downing Street, an illegal party was thrown at a time when social gatherings indoors were banned.
Well, like millions of people up and down the country, I'm utterly horrified. And frankly, both Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak should resign. We've now got criminals and liars at the top of government.
The Prime Minister has repeatedly denied that rules were broken.
All guidance was followed completely during Number 10.
All the guidelines were observed, continue to be observed.
I have been repeatedly assured since these allegations emerged that there was no party and that no COVID rules were broken.
This is the first time in the history of our country that a Prime Minister has been found to be in breach of the law. And then he lied repeatedly to the public about it. Britain deserves better. They have to go.
Femi Akinola was 60 when he died of COVID 2 years ago.
I don't see how the Prime Minister has any moral authority or even just any justification for remaining as Prime Minister. He's broken rules that he set and has lied about them.
In the Prime Minister's West London constituency of Uxbridge and South Ruislip, some voters were also furious.
When he's Prime Minister, he should be setting the example and modelling good behaviour. It just seems wrong. So I would say that it's time for him to go.
Not sure if this is actually the right time for Boris to go because of the situation in Ukraine.
He's not a leader because you can't follow somebody who's doing the wrong thing. So basically, whatever they put out for him, he should take it. And as a matter of fact, I think he should resign.
It also emerged today Carrie Johnson, the Prime Minister's wife, is another of the Partygate offenders to be given a fine. Simon Harris, ITV News.
Now, Londoners looking forward to an Easter break face a triple whammy of potential travel chaos. Work on the rail network means Euston Station will shut from Friday. Several underground lines too. As for the airports, flights continue to get cancelled. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
For the first time in 3 years, Londoners can look forward to an Easter break without COVID restrictions. For many, that means a chance to get away, but not every journey will be hassle-free. Euston is one station where engineering work is set to cause huge disruption. From just after midnight tomorrow night until 5 o'clock on Tuesday morning, Euston will be closed to all passengers. On the West Coast Main Line, there'll be no trains at all south of Milton Keynes over Easter. That's because just outside Watford Junction, engineers will work around the clock to lift the tracks and install new points in a project costing £22 million. This is the first Easter for 2 years where there have been no lockdown restrictions. An awful lot of people want to travel.
Absolutely, and we thank people for their patience while they travel, but Easter is one of those moments when there's less people travelling than normal, and we take the opportunity to do big engineering work so we can take all of the lines to do the work that we need to do.
At London's airports, staff shortages and cancelled flights have already caused frustrating queues and delays for passengers. Emma, a student, needs to be in Malta on Saturday to finish a project for her degree.
Currently, I'm a bit nervous that the plane might not be able to leave, and I've heard about queues and cancellations, and it's so important that I can go there to finish my university degree and also to see my family because I haven't seen them since before the pandemic.
Just getting to Heathrow will be a challenge for some travellers. The Piccadilly line is one of a number of tube lines hit by engineering work. The Piccadilly will be closed between Acton Town and Heathrow. The Hammersmith and City line is completely shut from Hammersmith to Barking, and the District line is closed between Tower Hill and West Ham.
I could understand customers want to get out and enjoy the city, and we do take that into account. We can assure you that the closures that we are making are essential. We have to do them at some point. They're about essential renewals and upgrades.
The closure of the West Coast Main Line also means no through trains to London for Manchester City and Liverpool fans heading for Wembley for the FA Cup semis. Simon Harris, ITV News, Watford.
Good evening. In a change of tactics, environmental protesters today ambushed an oil tanker in West London, causing chaos in rush hour. They disabled a lorry's brakes before climbing on top. Campaigners from Just Stop Oil have spent the last fortnight blockading fuel terminals, but this morning they decided to target a junction close to the M4 in an attempt to get their protests more widely noticed. It certainly did that, with stranded drivers venting their anger towards the protesters. Our cameras saw it all unfold, as our political correspondent Simon Harris now reports.
It was a carefully planned ambush on a busy roundabout, and it marked a change in tactics by activists from Just Stop Oil. Instead of targeting oil depots, they chose to hit a fuel tanker on the move. The unlucky driver had come to a stop at a red light on the Chiswick roundabout when the protesters made their move.
Basically, the tanker came to the lights. People stepped out with the banner to inform the driver that the tanker has been stopped and that he can't go further forward, whilst a couple others climbed up on top of the tanker.
The tanker was stranded in the middle of 3 lanes and was soon surrounded by police. With part of the roundabout blocked, traffic on the approach roads, including the M4 and North Circular, began to back up.
We're trying to go to Kew Gardens to the Hungry Caterpillar exhibition with my 2 sons in the back, and it's just a bit of a shame really that we're very late and it's kind of spoiling the day a little bit.
A load of rubbish. I don't know why they're doing it. They're causing all these problems for petrol. It's 45 minutes queued up yesterday just to get some diesel.
They've got a belief in something, fair play. They're not causing anyone any harm, are they? It's slowing us down, but what can we do?
Well, we've come from Kent to do a job and we can't get to it, so our boss is not very happy.
The 3 men and a woman used a mixture of super glue and metal locks to fix themselves to the top of the tanker. The activists have been sitting on top of the tanker for just over an hour now. The driver's still inside his cab, and the police have started their operation to remove the protesters. A hydraulic platform arrived along with specialist officers.
I've arrested you.
The protesters were told they were under arrest, and then, one by one, they were given a safety harness, helmet and protective goggles. One by one, they were rolled or dragged onto the cherry picker and carefully lowered to the ground. Then they were carried to the pavement and cautioned before being locked in the back of a van and taken away to a police station. Labour has called on ministers to use High Court injunctions to stop the protests.
Nobody suggests that the climate crisis isn't a very important #1 priority, but this is not the way to solve that problem, and the government can't just wring its hands, do something about it.
Activists from Just Stop Oil have been trying to disrupt petrol and diesel supplies since the start of the month. They want ministers to backtrack on plans to licence new projects to extract oil and gas, but the government says it won't tolerate guerrilla tactics. Today's action tied up police for 3 hours before the tanker was able to drive away. Simon Harris, ITV News, Chiswick.